Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for WildEarth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live Safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on WildEarth.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yet again, another beautiful, beautiful morning here in the bush, and it is fantastic to have you all on board. I am so excited. We've got plenty of plans today. I'm going to be looking for a leopard, and Steve, who's also in Djuma with me, is going to be looking for the Nkuhumas. Isn't that wonderful? Well, we're starting off at Treehouse Dam, and that's just a small one because I'm going to be heading to Chitwa soon. So I hope you've got your questions ready. So jump on board for your live safari through the African bush. Good morning, everybody. Like I said, we're starting off at a smaller dam than where I expect to be in a bit. We're at Treehouse Dam, just enjoying the view and enjoying the sounds of the morning. There's a very light twittering. The dawn chorus has started. It's me, Trishala. I've got Paul on camera with me this morning, and like I said, we're going to head to Chitwa. In fact, we want to get going, and that's because we want to follow up on Sabi, the leopard that Steve had yesterday. So we were hoping that maybe if we come round Treehouse Dam, we could be lucky with any other leopard. And of course, to show you the beautiful scenery here to start with, instead of me just driving around. Isn't that beautiful? Well, this is your live safari, everyone, so do give us your questions and your comments using that hashtag WildEarth, or you can use @FC on the YouTube chat stream. You can go to our website, you can register and use our questions and comments box. And our beautiful kiddies, please send us your questions using kids questions at wildearth.tv. We love hearing from you. So everyone's got some very catty plans today. Of course, we're coming to you from several locations in South Africa. And everybody's got very catty plans. So lots of people searching for lions. I'll be searching for leopard. We've got Taylor on bushwalk and pridelands. So today promises to have great variety. Hear those sounds. Tato, you're looking forward to some cats? Well, I hope I'll be able to deliver. I hope we're all able to deliver. I'm looking for cats. I'm looking for all those little things. I'm looking for anything, all the gifts that the bush has to offer. But we're going to start off by focusing on getting to Sabi and her kill from yesterday. What's nice about a leopard on a kill is that you can sort of be sure of that sighting for a couple days, as long as she didn't drop her kill or decided to move it. So we're going to get going. It's gloomy here. A little overcast, 19 degrees Celsius and 67 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's just here on Djuma. So how about you go off and have a look at what the weather is like at our other locations.
Well, folks, good morning from a beautiful Tswalu Kalahari. And I think BK and I have something quite spectacular to share with you this morning. So we came over Dune Crest into Lachava. We definitely lost our breath and our jaws hit the floor. And you'll see why now. don't know if you can see the colors exactly as we do, but to say myself and BK were blown away might be an understatement. It was a very large amount of excitement and photos taken very quickly off the top of this dune crest. Good morning, my name's Josh, I'll be your guide this morning, and the man behind the camera is BK. So our plan for the morning is to go and look for lions. The last time they won, and we didn't win. So this morning we're going to try and see if we can't find them and even the score. But it's a long property, it's a large property, and there's only one way to find out if we can do it. But with a start like that, and those colors, I reckon I've got a good feeling about looking for some lions. Man, Jerry, all I can say is I think you hit it on the head. The comment was, it looks like heaven on earth. All I can say is I think you hit it on the head. It is absolutely spectacular. Those colors just, there are no words. Definitely think this is not the worst way to start a day. So I think we're going to get moving and drive into that light because I really want to see what's on the other side. And if we're lucky and Mother Nature is kind, we might even be able to share a lion or two with you today. So folks, hop on, sit back, and let's go for a ride. So folks, instead of riding off into the sunset, we're going to head into the sunrise. And we're going to be sending you across to Russell, who would like to say good morning. Enjoy.
We're coming. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to andBeyond, Ngala's Private Game Reserve. As you can see, we've got some impala and some zebra out here in the open. I can see the impalas quite early in the morning are having a time of their lives. And good morning, everybody, to you guys again. My name is Roel, and behind the camera we have got Gert this morning. So we planned out to try and head down to the central parts of the reserve, try and see if we can find any tracks or signs of lions, and then from there we'll see where the day takes us. We're going to head down towards the riverbed. Those impalas are having a very good time. You know, it's also because they're crossing an open area that they don't really feel they feel a little bit vulnerable crossing there. Also, it could also be that it is the rutting season. And if you look up there, we've got a southern red-billed hornbill. Interestingly enough, if you look at its feathers all buffed up like that, it's still cloudy and a very cold morning. That bird is just trying to stay as warm as it can. Beautiful birds. I can see in the background some impalas are still coming out of the bushes, also trying to join the rest of the herd. Safari Kitty, you're asking, do animals ever delay their migration? I believe they do, because remember, the one purpose of migration could either be breeding or it could be just the change in season. So sometimes in other parts where they're supposed to migrate to, they have late rains come in, or maybe have early rains come in, so that could influence that. For example, the woodlands kingfisher was supposed to have already migrated back, but because we've had plenty of rain and the availability of food here is still a lot, so we still get to see a woodlands kingfisher, which is pretty awesome for us as well, because once those guys disappear, we might not be able to get to see them again until next summer. So what I think we're gonna do, we're gonna carry on down. It's nice for the impalas to come out and say hello to everybody. And then we're going to head down to the central parts, like I said, towards where some of the Pride members were. We'd like to head down to where those lions were left yesterday. There was a male. Apart from the copulating pair, there was a different male lion with lioness and some sub-adults there. So we're going to head in that direction. In the meantime, we're going to send you guys over to Steve and get him to say hello.
Good morning everybody. Welcome to an overcast and a little bit fresh dawn here in Djuma Private Game Reserve. Apologize for the poll. We have the roof on because it was raining a little bit this morning. My name is Steve, joined by Hannah on camera, and ourselves included are having a little look around for lions this morning. There were lions on Arathusa yesterday, which is to the west of us, so I'm checking all of the familiar routes for some fresh tracks. I wonder if you can get that one on the top of the tree there. There we go. Talk about migratory birds. There's the woodland kingfisher. And we're just going to allow all of you to just enjoy a little bit of the early morning songs. Got it. It's nice to wake up to an owl, Peter. Couldn't tell you which one, to be honest. I like all the bird calls in the morning. But hearing these southern ground hornbills from a distant, that's always quite fun. I just love all of them. The woodland kingfisher, by this time, starts to get a little bit monotonous, but it's lovely hearing them when they first arrive in November. But now in March, they're making an enormous amount of noise. But that's okay. So many different birds in the morning. The birds that call first are those with the best eyesight. Of course, you wouldn't call if you couldn't see. It's generally insect-eating birds with better eyesight because they're hunting for their food. Black-headed oriole in the background. Can you see the one on top of the dead tree there, Jan? Looks like a golden-breasted bunting. Not very easy to see in this light, but it's definitely a bunting. The dawn chorus. Birds have survived the night on our way homes in the evening. You often find birds tucked away in the low-hanging branches of trees. And obviously they're prone to predation, genets and cats and snakes and owls. So once they wake up in the morning, they let everybody of their own species know they're alive. Don't you come into my territory. And individual birds that might not have been breeding, if the territorial pair of that area or of that habitat does not call, male or female floater, as we call them, it's hanging around on the periphery, could potentially move in and claim that territory.
It's the month of March and WildEarth is offering you the chance to win a brand new prize. Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer and you could win a 5-day eco-training ranger experience for 2. Eco-training is the pioneer and leader in safari guide and wildlife training in Africa. The lucky winners can look forward to approaching dangerous game on foot, tracking and 4x4 driving, learning about animal behavior, and even spending one night sleeping out under a blanket of stars. In addition, you will also get the exclusive opportunity to join the WildEarth team on the broadcasting vehicle. Sign up to be an explorer now, and it could be you that wins this life-changing experience. Terms and conditions apply. WildEarth explorer Jenny recently joined Tristan as he broadcast live from Djuma.
Awesome to kind of have a guest on board. I'm looking forward to this. This is Jenny.
Hi everyone.
And Jenny is the first of our Ticket to Dream holders.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
Literally being with Tristan on the vehicle today has been incredible. It has truly been a dream come true.
Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
I would highly recommend being a part of the Explorer program and being able to be a part of an interactive live drive.
I'm Nikki here at andBeyond in Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the WildEarth website, head across to the live safari page, and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next WildEarth drive.
Welcome back, and we are still on our mission to try and find you the king of the beasts, the king of the cats, the lion. However, we have been lucky enough to find our hartebeest, and the reason we are spending a little bit of time with him is last night we had a question: what would be faster, a giraffe or the antelope? And we discussed being a little bit more specific. But one of the facts I brought up was that this chap is capable of speeds up to 80 kilometers an hour. And taking a look at that sleek frame, there looks to be quite a bit of muscle there. And those horns have definitely been blown backwards, potentially by the speed. So, quite a good looking antelope. We have a lot more of them on the Leopard section of the reserve than we do on the Koranenberg, because our two cheetah boys are very partial to a hartebeest snack. But he's definitely ignoring us, quite relaxed. But I see always paying attention. Look at that beautiful face. Very pretty antelope. Yeah, he's going, why are you pointing the camera at me? We've been sitting here for a minute or two with him, just watching and hoping maybe for a little bit of early morning audio from the lions. But we haven't had anything just yet, so hopefully soon. Now, hartebeest is on the move. Very distinct antelope. And those curving back horns, that dark color. So we're going to bumble onwards and see what else we can find. You're most welcome to come along for the ride. So we've had a question from Sipho, and the question was, what is the most common antelope species on Tswalu? I would have to go with the gemsbok, I would say. If I think about what I see the most often, be it single individuals, herds, small family groups, I'd definitely say it's probably the gemsbok. It'd be easy enough to find out from our conservation managers. I do know we have a game count coming up soon towards the end of the month, beginning of next month. So when those statistics come out, I'd be very interested to read them and get a little bit more of a rounded picture of what's going on the reserve. All information just helps you fill in those little gaps. But to answer your question, I'd definitely go with probably the gemsbok. So we're driving along the edge of the koppies here, having a look at what could be around. But as we carry on our mission to try and find you some lions, we're going to be sending you across to some of our other friends to say good morning. Enjoy.
And a very, very warm welcome and good morning to all of you. And we were tracking this pride of lion this morning. We had some fresh tracks and we found the whole pride with the two south males here as well. My name is Djuma, and welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. We've got Craig behind the camera there, and even Mr. Dean Jones joining us this morning. If you have a look there inside, there's the youngsters busy feeding on a big wildebeest carcass. So have a look there. On the left hand side is a sub-adult that's about a year old, and then there's some smaller cubs that you can see the movement in the thickets. On the right there you can see one of the small cubs. Youngster wants to find a spot to get through the thickets to the carcass. Oh, listen to that. I don't know if you can hear that low growl. There's a low growl where the lioness is growling at her own cubs, because they're probably trying to get to the best parts of the meat. Look at this youngster. Looks like he's got some intestines or something there. So we were actually following the tracks of the lioness and the 4 small cubs, so this one that's in screen here, and we followed the tracks from almost all the way from Mountain Lodge on Phinda, and we're about 4 or so kilometers away that we tracked them this morning, circling around, finding the tracks, and then we found them crossing the road. And I wonder if they could hear these lions, or maybe were on the scent of these other lions, and then they led us to the whole pride. Oh, there's a young sub-adult that's now coming across towards the one male lion here. Look how full that belly is. Very careful around the male. Emily, this is the pride of lions that we know of as mountain pride. So they are more towards the central to southeast of Phinda. One of the 3 prides that traverse over this area that we've got here. Look at that male. That those 2 that we've got there are actually two young females. So the older litter of sub-adults are actually 3 young females. So it looks like 2 lionesses, one with the sub-adults that's about a year old, and the one with the 4 youngsters that is about 5 or so months old that we've been tracking this morning. I think the sub-adults and their mother and the 2 males have already filled their bellies with this wildebeest, but with the very small cubs only arriving now, they're taking their turn to try and fill themselves up as much as possible. So I think this wildebeest won't be lasting too long between these 11 lions that we've got here. Quite incredible that there's so many of them together. But we are going to stick around and see what they get up to, if they maybe start getting a bit playful or so after their full bellies. But in the meantime, we're going to send you over to Taylor, where she's got some tracking of her own to do.
we are indeed doing some tracking, but first, look at the very miserable skies that we have today over in Ndlovu Dam. It's not quite nice. I even have a jersey on. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Niels, and we of course here at Pridelands, which is part of Tswalu Game Reserve and the Greater Kruger Park. And we're right outside the eco training camp. We didn't need to go very far this morning because it has been really exciting. So, as you can imagine, at a dam like Ndlovu Dam, there are quite a few species of animals that will roost in amongst these big trees. And one of those species is vervet monkeys. And they love to sleep around camp. We've obviously got nice big trees. They're full of leaves at the moment, so it'll definitely insulate them in the chilly evenings. And it was quite cold last night. The leadwoods are looking beautiful at the moment. And we were having tea and coffee very early this morning. Obviously, we didn't quite get first light, I'm afraid, because of all the clouds. And the next minute we started to hear something along that. Monkeys do that sound much better, but they started alarming. I was brushing my teeth, so I wasn't even had really had my coffee. I'm standing there going, okay. So I walked all the way to the edge of camp with my toothbrush in my mouth, and one of the other instructors, Sean, was standing with me. And we had our torches out, and the next minute we saw a reflection of the eyes. We saw that tapetum flash, and it was a leopard. So come and have a look. This leopard came down from the southern side of the dam. This is where we often come and show you things. And he walked all the way over here. And then I'm going to just creep to the water's edge. You can actually see those are probably the nicest tracks over there where he put his front feet. How awesome is that? So they're quite big. He didn't slip too much in the mud. It's fairly hard here, and lapped up water for a couple of minutes. But you can see the back feet just a little bit further behind. From where I was standing, like I said, it was also still quite dark. He didn't look to be quite big. So I couldn't tell you exactly which leopard it was, but there are 3 different individuals that we see around here that are males. We obviously have Shimungwe, who you have all seen before. I would say he's the dominant male leopard within this area. And then there is another male which we've seen before. He seems to be quite scrappy, quite a few cuts and nicks in the ears, and very, very nervous. And then probably my favorite of all of them is quite a young male, somewhere between 3 and 4 years old or so. He's got the most beautiful blue eyes, and I've had a few sightings of him when we were driving around as well. So it could be either or. I don't really know, but we're probably about 100 meters away from this cat, and it always just amazes me. Cats or leopards in particular are known to be so elusive, but around this camp and at Ndlovu Dam, when you're on foot with them, they seem to be more relaxed. Obviously not standing right up close to them, but watching them from a distance. But they're very happy to sit here and drink with a huge amount of people just standing very quietly, in absolute awe. And for a lot of the students, it was the first time that they had seen a leopard. So you can imagine that they raced on out in the vehicles to go and see if they can find this cat. But we've also heard elephants making their way down towards the dam, so we'll get into a nice safe position. But I'm sending Trishala all the leopard luck, and hopefully she'll get you one on camera.
Thank you so much, Taylor. I'm wishing you some leopard luck, because that would be awesome on foot. But thank you very much, because I'm going to need it, because the kill is no longer there. So Sabi's kill is no longer there, and there are some lion tracks around that area. In fact, around the whole of Chitwa. Across the dam wall, in that area towards where the kill was, right there, there's lion tracks as well. So it's very unlikely that she's still in that area. Like I said, the kill is gone. So I'm going to need that leopard luck, Taylor. Nonetheless, I will still be searching for some spots. Maybe just spots of a different kind, different individual spots. So I'm now going to check out an area where I know Tandy and her cub Maribs usually hang out in. I mean, it's a good bet. So I'm going to look in this area, and maybe we'll get lucky. If not, Chitwa's always great for elephants. The last 2 times I've been wanting to see elephants, it's been on Chitwa. So I'm happy either way. I am. Plus, like I've said to you before, Chitwa is like a magic box. Or at least I like to think so. These most amazing things can just show up. And have the greatest sightings. So I'm just gonna stick around and see what happens. I see evidence of elephants. Lots of broken branches, but they don't look terribly fresh. And I don't see tracks. Although there were some nice elephant tracks on Gari Main, which is just to the north of me at the moment. It's Djuma's southern boundary. So this particular road, it's called Shirombe Road in Chitwa, is one that Tandy and Maribs frequent. So I'm trying to look very, very carefully. Even this other link road here is another one that they use, and this dip is through the Milwanini. So while I go through this dip, I'm going to send you over to Djuma and see how he's going and what he's getting up to.
We are just waiting to see if one or two of them maybe shows themselves from the carcass there. You can just see the back of one sticking out. So I think they killed the wildebeest just out in the open here and then pulled it into the thickets there to avoid vultures and the scent being blown all over the place, especially with these small cubs around. Don't think these lionesses would enjoy another pride of lions or some scavengers like hyena to come and find this. Look at that one, just his tail flicking, trying to chase away maybe like a biting fly or so on the back. But there's at least 5 individuals that still spread out to the left-hand side here. There's a male lying down, a sub-adult, and then even further to the left, we've got another sub-adult, and it looks like a big female. Look at that, with the big full stomach full of wildebeest, and the second dominant male. The Bayala Male Coalition that is in control of this pride and the Bayala Pride in the western corner of the reserve. I can't actually remember the last time these 2 male lions have been with this pride. I think it must have been somewhere mid-February the last time that I can remember. It's quite a while. Look at how full those bellies are. They are 110% just going to be sleeping in the shade here this morning and this afternoon. See this, this male is the one that doesn't have the scar on the eye. The one to the right hand side that we were with earlier has quite a big scar on his eye there from fighting with his brother at some point. Lisa, you are asking a very good question. You're asking at what point and what age does a lion cub start eating meat? So, Lisa, it varies from pride to pride, I guess. But the general age is around 3 months to 2.5 months to 4 months. I think 4 months being quite late. And I think the lions would probably introduce them to meat early on if it wasn't for the cubs being so vulnerable when they're small. So the first 3 months, these youngsters that we've got here would have been hidden in a den site of sorts and would be relying on their mother for milk. But then when they are strong enough and their bones are strong enough, they would have followed her and probably been introduced to the pride and to their first solid meat or solid food. So yeah, generally around 2.5 to 4 months, somewhere around there. So these youngsters have been feeding on meat for at least a month or two now. Look at the tail just flicking around. Charles, you're asking when lions are the most active. So it depends really on temperature and so on. As I'm sure you've seen before on all these live safaris that we bring to you, that they can be very, very lazy when it's very hot. But when it's cool, they can be quite active during the day as well. But I think the majority of their time, they are active at night. They are super big predators, like you can see, and I think at night they've just got a better chance of sneaking up on some animals and hunting. So they are seen as mostly nocturnal more than anything else. I can still hear a little bit of growling happening between the youngsters that are on the carcass in that thicket there. But look at this male. If you look closely, the way that he's lying at the moment, I can't really see that he's got a big belly. So I know for a fact that he was not with the rest of the pride last night, because we saw him on a little section that's quite a distance away. So he joined this morning as well, and I wonder if he's waiting and maybe a little bit nervous to go close to the carcass there, because these lionesses, I think they can sometimes smell the other pride that they go to, and these males can be a little bit nervous between them. We've got a young sub-adult that's just gotten up here, that's just moving to the left-hand side here, just going and lying in front of its mother. Oh, that does not look comfortable on that little ridge there. But look how nice and sandy this swirl is here. It must be nice and soft for them. Maybe the angle is a bit better on its full belly there. You can see how quickly it's breathing. That full belly must be a little bit uncomfortable. But I think these lions are enjoying the cool morning that we've got here at the moment. But I can feel the sun is nice and hot, so it's going to be a hot day. In which case I think they'll look for any little bit of shade that they can. Lisa, you're asking what we think the purpose is of that elbow fur that you can see on that male lion there. Lisa, I don't think it really has a purpose. Maybe it's because I think it's just the testosterone and just the fact that they're males, they grow that fur there. It's probably like us humans. I don't know what the purpose is of chest hair either. It's just something that men have, and I suppose it could be something of how they evolved over the years. Maybe it was colder at some point in this part of Africa, and they had maybe longer fur, or more, the mane stretched out a bit further. Like some male lions have fur, the mane going down all the way to the belly. So I don't know if it has a particular purpose of. Another sub-adult that just came and lied in front of the male there. So these three sub-adults, like we said, they are young females. So as they grow up, they are building their bonds between them, and I've seen some of the other lionesses really grooming them, and they really have strong bonds with the other females, and they will probably stay with this pride, with this maternal pride where they are from, for the rest of their lives, the remainder of their lives. Except in some circumstances, if this pride gets bigger, because there's already quite a few lions here at the moment, should this pride get any bigger than this, they might start to compete with each other too much for food, and then it's not uncommon for females to form little breakaway prides. There's an actual fact, I think there's like 3 young lionesses that have been breaking away slowly but surely from this pride here because of all these youngsters and I suppose not being able to get enough food. And I wonder if they are going to form a breakaway pride. It will be interesting to see what happens in the next year or so. Look at this one, how its tail is like stretched out straight away from its body. Obviously no flies where this one is. Oh, there was just a little flick of the ear. Maybe there's a little bit. Hear the gorgeous bushrat calling in the background there. Yeah, like every now and then a nice little growl there from the youngsters, trying to get to the best piece of meat on that carcass there. That male just repositioning his head there for a moment. There's like a cool breeze that's coming over us here, and it is so nice. I think these lions are also enjoying it. So have a look at this male like lying right out in the open in the sun. So this is quite interesting. I think it's still nice and cool obviously for him to lie there, but I wonder if he's lying there because he wants to be close to the carcass. As soon as some of these other lions move away, then he'll maybe go in there, because I haven't seen him get up, so I'm not sure if he's got a full belly or not. But as it warms up, we might, if we spend a bit of time here, see him get up and move to some shade as well, because I can feel the sun on my back. It's nice and warm at the moment. But while we wait to see what this male lion gets up to, and if the rest of the pride will keep on feeding, we are going to send you over to Steve, where he had some luck with some other cats.
Well, good morning everybody. Welcome to Cheetah Cutline. One of our colleagues from Cheetah Plains has found Tandy. She's here on the boundary looking into Djuma. Apparently there are some impala in the thickets there. We just arrived. We can't see what she's looking at, but we're just going to give her all the space and the time she needs. See how she uses the road to move silently, and then because she's hidden just behind the grass there, she's actually nearly invisible. Impalas are off the road from her by about 40 meters, maybe 35. Just in the long grass. Some of them are on top of a termite mound. lots of noises coming from behind the impala. Maybe Maribs is here as well. Sips from Cheetah Plains found Tandy just now. There were also tracks of a male leopard here. Actually right here underneath my vehicle. Tracks of a male. That would be him. So he's probably there causing chaos. Look at her intention. The impala might get spooked by something on one side. And they might run towards her. It's a very interesting strategy, seeing leopards and lions stalking on the road and using the cover that the road verge can provide. It's essentially just a game path, everybody, that they will use. Game path, natural occurrence of tracks that animals have created to and from water. And so these leopards have adapted to use them, so have the lions, the elephants, rhino, to use them as natural pathways for moving. Obviously facilitates silent movement and also facilitates quicker movement. You might hear other voices. As I said, we are joined in the sighting. The impala are looking in this direction, but I don't know if you can hear the birds from the other side of the impala. They are not happy. Maybe Tandy's trying a new strategy. Send Maribs in on one side, chase the impala towards her, and then she catches them. Very lion-esque sort of strategy. You don't often see leopards doing it. She's known how to hunt on her own. Very efficient, effective hunter. She's got the patience to wait it out.
Go forward 1 meter, I'll see the impala.
Salaha, her coat is stunning, isn't it? Yes. Okay, well, she's very alert right now, so we're not going to do anything. She might start stalking further down the road. The impalas seem to be going off of the termite mountain, so anything could happen. She's almost doing her mongoose stand now. Okay, here she comes. See how she uses the road? Silently. She's going to walk right past me. This is all her doing it on her own. Isn't that amazing, hey? Now she's going to go in at this angle. There she goes, yeah. She's going to change angles. Going to run around now. Sips is going to go that side. We're just going to reverse back and see if we can see where she's headed. She's going to try and get the impala from another angle. We'll try to stay on the road. She's probably cut through for the road just here. How cool was that run past? Clearly there's no influence. She runs right past us as if we weren't even there. Tandy and I are good friends. Impalas are all around here, milling around. All their tracks are in the road. This is going to be very difficult to find her again. But that is the way it works. We probably next thing we'll hear will be alarm calls. Don't know if we will actually physically spot her again now. She's just here at our 9 o'clock, eh? I'm just going to stop right there. Okay, so she's trying to predict the angle the impala we're going to move off from. I'm going to look with my binoculars into the thickets to see if I can see them. Very calculating, everybody. Her detection of movement is very, very good. She saw them moving off. She's hoping to predict the movement that they're moving. Now she's recalculating. She might have decided, okay, maybe not those impala. And here she comes. Along the road again, recalculating her angle of approach. Squirrels are alarm calling, and now it looks like she's decided. You see the change in behavior because the squirrels are shouting. The tail's changed, the body language has changed slightly. She's given up on the hunt for the moment, but it's not impossible that she might continue. Now she might just start walking. Alarm calls are quite a powerful thing, everybody. We always think to ourselves they just alert us to the predator, but what they often do is the predator goes, oh, I've been seen, and they leave the area entirely. So that is one of the objectives of an alarm call, is first of all to warn your fellows. She went here somewhere, Johan. Do you see her? To warn your fellows of impending danger, and secondly, to let the predator know that you've seen it. Okay, well, we're going to try and relocate on this beautiful cat, and hopefully she catches herself a meal.
On the 27th of April, WildEarth will be turning 14 years old, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. And to celebrate, we will be finishing the beautiful book that we started last year that looks at the history so far. But we do need you to be part of it. Please submit your most memorable sighting, or what WildEarth means to you, or even just your name and a comment to be included inside the book. Head over to the website to add your name and reserve your copy. We are offering a 20% discount on all books bought before the end of March. And a big thank you to all of you who have contributed to the book so far.
Our lives are dictated by alarm clocks, traffic jams, constant multitasking, and countless distractions. The wilderness is where many of us feel the most human. On a bushwalk, we become part of the natural landscape. As you step off the vehicle, everything comes alive. As with any risky experience, walking amongst these animals inspires awe and appreciation. Now, it's your turn to go on a bushwalk. Join us from Pride Lands as we slow down our thoughts, put aside our distractions, and reconnect with a place that first taught us how to be human.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
This my line has just rolled onto his back. Oh, look at that. I think he's getting a little bit hot in the sun there. My goodness, how beautiful he is. You can just hear the other vehicle was in the search with us with these lines just moving out of the sighting. Look, he's just looking straight at us. And there he gets up. Wants to go to the shade. Let's see if there's some interaction between him and the other lines. He is such a big boy. He definitely ate a little bit of something. Got something in his stomach there. Coming and lying on that nice sandy patch in the shade. Look at the youngster behind him, just keeping an eye on him. Looks like he's aiming to yawn almost, poking his tongue out every now and then. Look at that old scar over his eye there. Youngster rolling around in the back. Look how he's just turning his ears towards where the carcass is and where the youngsters are still feeding. Can you hear some bones crushing there? Yeah, he just pokes his tongue out every now and then. I think he's got a yawn coming. Sarias, you're asking what the three prides on Phinda is. So far north in the reserve, we've got the pride that we know of as the North Pride. And then we've got the Mountain Pride and the Bayala Pride. And they've all got relatively big territories compared to other lions. The Mountain Pride being the biggest of the prides, with I think all of them together, if the two males join them, they're probably somewhere around 18 lions, or maybe it's 16 lions or something like that. But I haven't seen the whole pride together for quite a while. Some individuals that are not here at the moment either. Oh, look at that bit of sunlight that's just been on the male's face there. See the other male just listening and picking his head up. Bit of a breeze coming over, maybe he smelled something. We are going to send you over to Steve while these lions are settling down, where Steve's Leopard is looking to have some breakfast.
Welcome back to the woodlands of Djuma, everybody, with Tandy, the queen of Djuma herself. She's done a full loop around the impala. She's looking back towards Cheetah Cut Line, back towards where we first had her. So she did that big run around, used the road to cover her ground and to make her approach very quiet, and then she stalked in here where the vegetation is a bit thicker. We've been discussing over the last few days ecological adaptations, and that squirrel saw her, started alarm calling. Other prey animals will actually respond to those calls. We respond to those calls, although I don't often find squirrels very reliable. In that case, it was indeed very reliable. So that is a symbiotic relationship whereby prey animals will help each other to detect predators. And it's a warning that you heed or you don't at your peril. Alarm calls are a very important element to the survival of many of these animals, and if they don't know them or understand what those alarm calls mean, well, they get eaten. So now what we are watching is the evolutionary adaptation of the impala and the leopard playing out. The leopard's using its camouflage, its stalking ability, her patience, the cover the vegetation provides to try and catch up with those impala. Now the impala are using the cover as well. It's not always to their advantage, although it does help when it's quite dense. Their movement of their hooves quite perceptible to the keen eye sense or the senses of the leopard, and their movement. That's why some prey animals such as the duiker, steenbok, bushbuck have got that freeze and flight strategy, a strategy that has evolved to thwart the keen senses of a leopard. Those animals will run off a short distance and then stand very still, like a scrub hare, for a very long time. And it requires a lot of patience from a leopard to see through that deception. Impala don't have the same freeze and flight strategy. Their objective is to be able to sprint quickly, get lost in the crowd, but their senses are also very, very important with their hearing and their smell. Ashton, what is a leopard's hunting style? Is that what you asked? Leopards are stalkers. They need to get as close as possible. The camouflage allows them to get as close as possible. The disruptive camouflage, we've got color vision, so we can actually see her there in the long grass, but her slightest of movements and even the shape of her ears make her stand out to the herbivore. That is ingrained in their brain, that shape is danger. It's why when we see leopards go up onto termite mounds, they go flat. They lower their ears, because as soon as an animal sees that shape, I mean, we all know it from marketing, the Mickey Mouse sort of Mickey Mouse shape, everybody knows that. So imagine that sort of shape, which indicates a lion or a leopard's head, is ingrained in all these animals' sort of psyche to mean danger. So leopards are ambush specialists. Their quiet padding through the long grass enables them to get as close as possible. If you've ever leopard crawled before, something we always used to do as kids, to get as close as we can. The leopard is the expert at leopard crawling. They invented it, hence the name. Using cover to their advantage. Soft padded feet with protractile claws, meaning the claws are inside, protected from damage and getting blunt. And the leopard needs to get within 20 meters, 20 yards, to have any chance of being successful. Obviously, if the prey animal starts moving towards her, the wind is blowing in this general direction. If the prey animal moves towards her, which does happen, she will go flat, flat, flat until they are striking distance, and then she will launch herself with incredible speed, 23 feet per second. It's about 93 kilometers an hour. Can cover a very short distance very quickly. So that adaptation of the leopard is incredible, but all of those adaptations aside, the leopard is still only 20% of the time successful, because as the leopard has gotten more adapted, more camouflaged, quicker, more stealthy. So the prey animals have become more in tune, more aware, more vigilant, quicker. Impalas are spring-loaded, which means from a standing start they can jump very high in any direction. You know that feeling you get when something startles you and you feel like jumping out of the way? I'm sure you've all felt that feeling before. Well, impala can do that. They can physically jump left, right, backwards, up. It's quite an incredible thing to see. And that ability to spring load and jump often saves their lives. That's why a leopard wants to get as close as possible. Because once it does get that close and it launches itself, those protractile claws extend, coming out of the sheath, and then ideally try to latch onto the skin or body parts of the prey animal, and then quickly try to move to the throat or neck area to try and subdue the prey animal. Craig, we watched Hukumuri once outside of a termite mound, a burrow for a warthog. We did a scheduled broadcast, unscheduled broadcast. We actually exited the show and did that broadcast, and we sat for 1 hour and 54 minutes. Okay, she's seen something. 1 hour and 54 minutes with the camera trained sort of like this. We could only just see his face. He was looking towards us. The burrow was between us and him. And at 1 minute 52, 1 minute 54, should I say, an adult pig came out. And then almost immediately a second adult pig came out, yet Hukumuri stood his ground flat in the grass. And then moments later, a piglet emerged between the two adult pigs, and he just exploded into action. I'm sure that broadcast is on YouTube somewhere. He exploded into action and caught that pig behind the neck and killed it pretty quickly. But we sat in high tension anticipation for that entire time. And imagine the leopard who sits in that heightened state of getting ready to go. If you've ever gone for a sprint before, 100-meter dash or 100-yard dash, and you sit there waiting for that cannon to go off for you to go, try go into that position and get ready to run, and do that for 1 hour and 54 minutes and see how tense your body becomes. That's what these cats go through on a daily basis. So, taut muscle tension power. And that power is obviously designed for helping them to tackle bigger prey, but it also enables them to explode out of the blocks. So although impala are very quick out of the blocks, leopard have the ability to just go really, really quickly over 10-15 meters. But I don't think she's seen her impala again. They're sort of in the thickets between us and Chidekatlan. You can see her demeanor is changing. But she is a very, very patient cat, everybody. We've had lots of noises off to our right-hand side of some more Franklins. I'm pretty sure her son is running around here somewhere causing chaos. Okay. Otherwise we will lose her. We're giving her as much space as we can. She's just through here. Got her just off to my left-hand side. soon as we see an impala or her body language change, we will switch off. We'll switch off anyway. We've got a good view of her here. Not the best view. You got her, Johan? Yeah. Sometimes this is it, everybody. We try and be as unobtrusive as possible. We don't want to influence the impala, we don't want to influence her. We're going to stay right here with the Queen of Djuma.
For all of you WildEarth explorers who bought plaques, today is the day that you will make your very first safari on our vehicle. Because we are quite remote here in the bush, they have taken some time to arrive, but I am happy to say they are here and they look great. Marcel has spent the day attaching them. Let's take a look.
Before we mount these nameplates, we just give a light dusting of green paint. This is to better match them to the color of the vehicles and also to decrease the reflectivity of the metal and thereby staying sensitive towards the animals.
Bumbo crew. Hopefully, Dan Black, Liesel Apgar, and Alicia George. Well, it's time for me to get ready to take you all on a safari. Let's go.
I'm absolutely delighted to have won the February prize draw for 3 nights for 6 people at the Djuma Private Game Reserve. I absolutely love everything WildEarth has to offer. I find the guides extremely knowledgeable and will go above and beyond to ensure a great safari experience. I will be taking my husband and family from the UK to experience this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. One of the main reasons I joined the WildEarth Explorer program was for the fireside chats and also to win an incredible prize, which I'm so fortunate to win and incredibly happy. I would like to thank WildEarth for this amazing prize and cannot wait to meet the team.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on WildEarth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
If you look in front of your screen, we have 2 woolly-necked storks. And earlier on when we were here, see where they are, they're looking for potential males. Because this riverbed has been flowing for quite some time, we have plenty of water. There's a lot of frogs along these dead trees inside, and some of these frogs are buried underneath the sand a little bit. I think these storks can see that. We saw one earlier on here that had a frog and its mouth that had just dug it from underneath the sand. must say this riverbed now, after that flow, has become a very popular destination for most birds. So if you keep driving down along the river, you'll get to see a lot of bird life. Earlier this morning we had a pied kingfisher and often saddle-billed storks as well. Sometimes you get to see hammerkops in these little puddles looking for fish. It's interesting how they put their attention towards that dead or fallen over tree. You can see there's a lot of stuff that hooks on when the water flows. So maybe in there could be some insects, there could be some frogs, there could be a lot of stuff. And I can see sometimes also get some birds that land there, also maybe looking for something to eat. Justin, I believe you are asking where do they nest their eggs. I'm not entirely sure. I might have to get back to you on that one. If you look at that one there, found something. Because, you know, when there's water here flowing, a lot of these aquatic creatures, the small ones, when the water dries out, they tend to bury themselves under the ground, at least under the sand, because it's a lot cooler down there, just to get away from the harsh heat of the sun. And I think that's why these storks are walking there exactly where they're walking. I think that's the last bits where the last bits of water was flowing. You can see the other stork busy cleaning itself and preening itself. Alright, so we were still on our way to try and look for the lions. We did find tracks of them earlier on from where they were last night. Looks like they've walked all around that place, so we were checking the riverbed to see some tracks. And in the meantime, I'm going to send you guys over to Taylor, and who's got something interesting to show you guys.
So, I have been walking around on Pridelands for quite some time now, and this particular plant that I'm holding very gently in my hand is all over the reserve, and I've been struggling to find out what it is, but with the help of the other eco-training instructors, we collectively managed to figure out what it was, which is exciting because I haven't been able to find it in any of my books, but maybe I just wasn't looking hard enough. Now, I will show you in a minute, but as you can see, it is all over here. Can you see it? It sort of grows just almost up to my waist. So, and it's taken over this entire open area. Now, this is an invasive plant species. It should not be here. It comes from Central and South America, as do a lot of our invasive plant species, and it typically grows in these disturbed areas. Now, this is called a spiny starburst, and it's part of the Asteraceae family, which is one of the largest plant families that we have worldwide. And like I said, unfortunately, it's not supposed to be here. Now, I'm not really sure how it managed to find its way to South Africa. However, I suspect that because it is a plant that is associated with a lot of crops, that maybe it would have come in when I don't know, animal feed was being brought over, so especially around when the British soldiers were coming down to South Africa to fight in the Anglo-Boer War. Yesterday we had seen the blackjack, which is also an invasive species, so maybe it came in teff or lucerne or ote or something along those lines. Or maybe, I don't know, it could come in any kind of way, but I haven't quite found out exactly. I still will do some more research on this plant. Now, I actually am allergic to it. I'm not going to show you what happens to me. When I touch it with my hands, it's okay. It's not a problem. But remember, the skin on your hands, and especially with someone like me who works outside all the time and probably has tougher skin, it doesn't affect me too much. But as soon as these tiny little hairs, and I don't know if you can see them, but the entire stem of this plant is covered in these fine hairs. As soon as these hairs touch my legs and more sensitive parts of my body, I break out in quite a bad rash. Very, very itchy and not very pleasant at all. So that's not a fun time. So I try and avoid walking through it whenever I can. And I'm just trying to find a nice one to you, because it's actually, here we go. What about this one? It's actually quite pretty. The little flowers that are developing just in the center over there. And that's got some spines on it, as you might be able to see. And that's definitely going to stick to the fur of animals, or maybe even the feathers of birds. And where it is all growing, we also happen to have a little wallow that you can see that's developed here. Probably from rhinos, buffalo, elephants coming to splash around in here. Definitely some warthogs. They would have spent a lot of time here and created this little wallow. But any animals that are coming through, and you can see how it's all been pushed over, so we know some larger species of game will come through, even the impala, and they'll definitely walk through this, and those little seeds are going to get caught on their bodies, and they're going to transport them all over the reserve. Now, trying to remove something like this is going to be very, very difficult, because while we're out here, we obviously don't want to use any chemicals, because chemicals can have a negative effect in the bush. So normally it's a kind of a manual deed that needs to be done in order to remove all of those plants. So whether it is slashing the plant or mowing the plant when it's not in flower and not in seed might help. Ideally, what you want to do is pull the entire plant up and pull it out by its roots. We do a lot of that with the Datura stramonium too, which is another invasive plant species. So we've really got our work set out for us here, but of course Pridelands and a lot of the other reserves that will have this are constantly trying to remove as much alien plant species as possible, and it's just unfortunate that a lot of this has found its way into these wild ecosystems. But off you go across back to the Sabi sand to Steve, and I wonder if Steve has seen this plant before.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, Tandy lay down, lost interest. We moved a little bit closer as we couldn't see her in this incredible grass. Not sure what plant it is Taylor's talking about. Have to send me a picture. But one of the things that we learn when we come out here into the wilderness and learn from the animals is how to enhance and live with all of our senses. Something that is really, really prominent, or something that really enables us to feel, because so much of the time we spend avoiding hearing, smelling, and physically feeling. And a really nice little quote or something that I received the other day called The 7 Wonders of the World. To see, to hear, to touch, to taste, to feel, to laugh, and to love. So by enhancing your senses, make you appreciate little things in life so much more. And the animals out here are constantly alert to all of those senses. And one of the things I try and do when I bring people out into these wilderness areas is to encourage them to smell and to hear things that they wouldn't have before. And seeing as we can't see our leopard anymore, look at a bush willow, a large fruited bush willow. Interesting enough, in Afrikaans it's called a raasblaar. And the raas means to make a noise, doesn't it? I've never heard them making much noise, so I'm not sure where it gets that name from. But it definitely helps you to assist with the senses if it's a tree that makes noise. Listening and smelling are such important elements to our daily lives. But unfortunately, many of us are born or grown up in cities. I was myself. So we block out the noise. There's a lot of noise. We block it out. Block out the smells. There's some really bad smells. It's out here. It's fresh air. Beautiful, clean air. Water. And the noises, for the most part, are very organic. Not very noisy this morning, it's very quiet, but have a look at how many leopards we've probably driven past. I can't even see her. Can you see her, Johan?
Really?
Okay, so at least you've got a spot. I don't have a spot. I've got nothing. So, ambush specialists, obviously their ability to stalk in and get close is vitally important, but bearing in mind those impala are going to have to move at some point, and if she's gauged her direction well, they might move to where she's lying in ambush, and it would be nearly impossible for them to even know that she's there. Well, defaults with some animals that rely on some similar tactics, although they often do it as a team.
Some of the young cubs came out a little bit earlier and came and just played a little bit around the males and these sub-adults, but they've gone back into the thickets where I'm sure their mother is lying down. Probably felt it was quite hot. There you can just see two of the sub-adults with their heads up. Black behind the ears there. Putting her paw against her sibling there. Almost holding her. Look how heavily she's breathing, the one that's sitting up right there. You can see her head bobbing up and down as she's breathing. Sure, this full belly is producing a lot of heat, all that digestion. It must be quite uncomfortable to breathe. You can see how the mother there is also breathing quite heavily and deeply. It's stomach moving up and down quite quickly. Douglas, you're asking what happens when lion and leopard territories overlap. So I can guarantee you that lion and leopard territories always overlap. But lions don't really have an effect on leopard movement. So leopards will obviously try and avoid the lions as much as they can, but they are such skilled and elusive cats. There's been some research done on the movement of leopards and the effect that other predators have on them. And what they found is that lions actually have absolutely no effect on the movements of leopards because they are, I'm guessing, too sneaky about where they go around, and they are quite elusive, and because they can take their kills up trees, it doesn't really affect them too much where lions are. So the lions here have on Phinda have quite a big territory, or territories, but there's quite a few different leopards that have territories, smaller territories so I'm sure in the territory of these lions there's probably a few leopards that move throughout. See a few butterflies fluttering around in the background there as well. This lioness is still using that little bank there on the ground as a little pillow. Perfect little spot, but you can see she's slowly getting into the sun there. As the sun is coming over, the shade is getting smaller and smaller because they are lying on the western side of that tree there. And as the sun comes over, they'll have to move around into the other shade. So we might see that female, as it gets too hot for her, move into the shaded part to the left-hand side, closer to where this male is lying. Young Soberalt also just in front of him. Oh, I don't know if you heard that sound there. It was one of the youngsters making a sound around the carcass. Carl, you're asking when lions start mating? With females, they go into estrus, into heat every now and then. And it's a natural process that the lionesses will go through. So they don't have a very fixed breeding season. So you might see cubs of different ages throughout the year, and they can give birth and mate throughout the year. Can see the one youngster just a little bit to the right of these two is just starting to open its mouth and pant quite heavily. It's just looking in the opposite direction now. You can see the black behind the ears there. It's looking away from us. Let's see if it turns its head around. There you can see the mouth is open, turning towards us now, and panting quite heavily. It's heating up very quickly now. You can see the younger lions have a lot more energy than the adults, sitting upright, looking it around, not really falling asleep as quickly as the others are. That lioness is almost completely in the sun now on the right hand side there. Hear the purple-crested tarako calling in the background there. see this youngster that's sitting upright. See, its ears flicking the whole time. Earlier there was a bit of tail flicking from it when it was lying down completely. I wonder if there's maybe a biting fly or something that's been irritating it. That's why it's sitting poised, ready to almost get up and move away. Almost like a bit of a stretch there. The light catching its face there as well. Glenn, you're asking with regards to the carcass that's just off to the side, whether or not there is a hierarchy who feeds first. There definitely is, with these male lions being here as soon as one of the females or these males have made the kill. The males will come and try and dominate over the carcass and fight with the females and maybe these subadults as well, and dominate over the carcass as much as possible, and they'll eat their fill first. But these small cubs, they don't have I think if they were here while the males were feeding, they probably wouldn't have had too much of a worry. And often you'll see very small cubs feed even while the males are feeding, and the males are often not too aggressive to the youngsters around a carcass. Almost like they know they are innocent and they don't really know the hierarchy just yet. And then as they get older, all the lions will try and fight over their piece, but the males can be quite aggressive towards other lions. And then the females and the younger lions will come in and join in if there's a space or a little spot for them to feed. You can see the sun is quickly moving over this youngster sitting upright. Its head is completely in the sun now. The lioness on the right is also in full sun now. Youngster is sitting and looking past us here into the distance. It looks like she wants to fall asleep. Oh, they've all just heard something too close to the carcass. Here comes the lioness out of the thicket. That's what they were looking at. Let's see if the cubs follow her. Oh, I might see some interaction here. Coming and pushing each other away from the lioness there. Oh, there's a bit of a claw to him. How cool is that? The male just standing up looking straight towards us. Here comes the cubs out of the bush. The lioness that was lying in the sun's also got a nap there. She's going to lie down in the shade. Sarah, so these youngsters are not in a den anymore, but if the mom would have left them in a den site when they were still very small, they would actually stay put and they wouldn't follow her, because they would be too small, and she would also wouldn't want them to follow her because of the dangers that might be out there when they are too weak to move around and move quickly. Don't know if you can hear that, but there's some impalas behind us that have spotted these lions that are now alarm calling to them. Look at the youngsters looking at them. Very interested in these impalas alarm calling. All of the youngsters coming closer to have a closer look at these impalas. One's getting up and coming closer. That belly is almost dragging on the ground. While we see what these youngsters are up to, we are gonna stick around. We might just try and reposition our vehicle a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna stick around for now and see what these lions get up to. I think they might all be in for a nice mid-morning snooze.
It's the month of March and WildEarth is offering you the chance to win a brand new prize. Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer and you could win a 5-day eco-training ranger experience for 2. Eco-training is the pioneer and leader in safari guide and wildlife training in Africa. The lucky winners can look forward to approaching dangerous game on foot, tracking and 4x4 driving, learning about animal behavior, and even spending one night sleeping out under a blanket of stars. In addition, you will also get the exclusive opportunity to join the WildEarth team on the broadcasting vehicle. Sign up to be an explorer now, and it could be you that wins this life-changing experience. Terms and conditions apply. With a slew of potential dangers lurking, it's essential to be aware of your surroundings whilst walking in the wilderness.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species. This is a big bull.
What a moment, what a close encounter with an Ellie bull. He's just over here now. He's moved completely away.
Being on a bushwalk and seeing a leopard, I mean, it's ridiculous to be this close to a leopard on foot and for him not to run is absolutely insane. How crazy was that?
Through the gap there is just the back of the head of a male lion. He is absolutely unaware that we are here right now. I tell you, seeing lions on foot, it definitely brings out the caveman in you, this little scared human being.
I love being a cam-op for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
These youngsters are being absolutely adorable and just keeping an eye on all the impalas and wildebeest that are moving over the open plain behind us. But their eyes seem to want to close, but their curiosity is getting the better of them. So they just bob their heads up every now and then when there's a bit of movement behind us. Look at this one, seen something there. DJ, they are absolutely adorable, and can't imagine that in 6 months to 8 months time they're going to be the same size as the young sub-adult that is sitting behind them there upright. They grow up too quickly for my liking. A bit of a yawn from the one youngster there. I think these full bellies and this nice soft sandy soil, and the fact that these youngsters have actually travelled quite a distance this morning to get here, their energy levels must be dwindling. See that sub-adult sitting out in the sun there? She might get up and move to the shade as well. That little bit of shade is getting very small for the amount of lions that are there here. And soon they're going to have to be on top of each other, and they'll have to move into the thickets to get into some shade. There we go. The youngster that we were talking about's just gotten up. Let's see if it can find a spot. Yeah, I found a spot just in the middle there. Seems like this one sub-adult is going to go back to the carcass to go try and feed a little bit more and fill that stomach up a little bit more. But while these lions are going to be disappearing into the thickets and start falling asleep, I think we're going to leave them and we'll send you over to rule at Ngala.
Alright, so we had to change the plan a little bit with the lion search. We decided to move away from the central parts where there was a few members of the pride that was found yesterday in the afternoons. And we decided to go south to try and see if we could find the rest of the pride. Because remember, the Birmingham pride has been almost, I can say they've split it in half, and a few members are in the central parts of the reserve. So, however, we did manage to find tracks in the southern part of the reserve. There were other vehicles that we were working with to try and find them. And the good news is they have found those lions, and we are currently making our way there. At this point, I am not sure what the makeup of the pride is, so I guess we're going to have to wait and see when we get there what consists. But all I know is that at least some of the sub-adult lions have been in the south for quite some time. So maybe when we get there, those 2-year-olds that are almost 2.5 now will be there, with a few lionesses, I think 2 if not 3. So because they could have also split up along the way in the past couple of days that we haven't seen them, it would be nice to see what the makeup of that pride is, if the other male is also with them, or if it is just the females and those sub-adults. So if you guys just hang on for a few more minutes, we should be there. I believe your question is how far will a lioness travel with her cubs? That depends on the age of the cubs. If they are still small, of course, she's going to keep them in more or less the same area. And the older they get, the bigger the distance they can cover. In this case, what I've seen with this pride in particular, the Birmingham Pride, once the cubs are somewhere around a year, they can actually get them to walk quite a long distance. And sometimes we even think that they made them move too far. But I think when at the age where these ones are about 2.5 now, they can go as far as the whole pride can go. But when the cubs are still small, they would move very short distances and keep them there for a while, then move them again, and so forth. And this is by far the most southern part of the property, and we are almost at the fence line of the end of Ngala. There we go. You can see there's one of two of those, and there is the white ones. We have not seen these guys in a long time. See, that is that white female there, and if you look off to your left, that's that white male behind the bush. It's nice to see that these guys are still alive. You know, when you don't see them for over a week or 2 weeks, you start asking yourself a lot of questions because you're not sure what could have happened in all that time. But to see them again, it gives you a little bit of a relief. Looks like there's also a big male there. Just wondering if it is the Ross male or that Birmingham young male. So maybe. So Mary, you're asking if there is a possibility for us to get any more white lions in the property. I believe so. I think yes, that possibility is still there because the gene pool is still within these lines. So the question is, how long will it take before we actually get another white lion born in the property? I know that before these two were born in 2018 towards the end, at the beginning of the year, there was the Birminghams were denning, three of the lionesses had cubs in that Timbawata riverbed. And I think one had 2 white ones and the other one had 1. So we had 3. But it was unfortunate that those cubs were born during a very bad time where there was a change in the dominant males, which means these 2 males had just moved into the property, taken over the territory, and because they had pushed out the previous males, therefore they killed all the cubs that the lionesses had at that time, and which means we lost all three. But a few months later, I think 6 months later that, one of the lionesses gave birth, and that young male there was born. And a few months after he was born, the other female gave birth, and there was also that white female that we see there. So they are a few months apart from each other. So I don't know, maybe in the next 5-10 years or even more, we might be lucky enough. When will the white male lion be kicked out of the pride? So that is a very good question, and I think he is very, very close to that stage where he gets kicked out of the pride. That's an interesting development right there. I wonder what could be coming. Can you see? The whole pride just got up and ran in an easterly direction. And from where we are, that old lioness and the other ones are stopping there and they're looking in the opposite direction. I wonder if there is a potential threat that they could have seen from that side, and those young ones are just getting out of the way. And that one there, I can now confirm, it is the Birmingham young male. That one young male was born of this pride, and the two Ross males, when they moved in, they tried to kill him, and he's made it through, survived for the past couple of years. It has been a very difficult couple of years for him, so he has not been kicked off to exile. Marianne, to get back to your question, I think because he's now at 2 years and a few months, so he will be sexually active within the next couple of months. Before he gets to 3, there's a possibility that he and his 2 other brothers there will get kicked out. So I think we'll spend a little bit more time here, wait around, see if there will be any other developments. In the meantime, we'll send you guys over to Steve.
Sounds like lots of action that side. You haven't missed anything this side, everybody. We've got a very flat leopard who I promise you is there in the grass. She has gone into a state of catharsis. Energy expenditure, it's all part and parcel of how animals are adapted. That's why our predators are active when it's cooler. Night time, they've evolved to be active at night time because it's easier to move around. They don't expend as much energy moving in the heat. As you all know, sometimes, when it's so hot you just can't do anything. Well, there we go. That's what predators feel as well. But on a day like this, it's pretty cool She's just biding her time. She knows a prey animal will make itself available at some point, or she'll hear something and she'll move off. So while she waits, like many people learn in the army, when there's no action, you rest and have a quick snack. Eat some food, take a cat nap, because action could happen at any time. That's the perpetual state of these cats. Right, well, that's exactly it. The grass at the moment is very tall. So, there we go, her tail's up. As the grass starts to dry out and go brown, her camouflage actually works even better. The grass at the moment is not necessarily the camouflage of the grass or her camouflage that's hiding her right now. Right now, it's the density of the vegetation that's making her invisible. But as the vegetation dwindles and diminishes, her disruptive camouflage, so those spots, the black, the white, the gold, all of that helps her to blend into the merest of vegetation, even flat on a leafy ground. She is almost invisible if she lays flat, because the disruptive markings are designed to break up her three-dimensional line, her three-dimensional sort of body shape, which is what these prey animals are trying to identify. The same goes for many of the other animals, such as kudu and nyala. They're able to vanish in the smallest of vegetations. But right now, it's mainly the density of the vegetation that's hiding her. But of course, if it was browner, she'd blend in even better. The brownness also comes with diminished grass. Grass starts to fall over. It also does make a little bit more noise when it's brown because it's dry. And they have to be even more careful when they walk and step. But you'll sometimes see leopards stalking on open ground on almost no vegetation at all. And when they lie flat, prey animals look and they can't see them. It's remarkable. Oh, hello. There you are. Those of you who are just joining us, this cat that's just sat up is Tandy, the beloved one. She's been a dominant leopard around Djuma for quite some time, spending a lot of her time on the eastern side here and into Torchwood and Chitwa. And she is the proud mom at the moment of a almost plus minus 1-year-old boy. I don't know exactly what day he was born on. Okay, it's time to move. Sorry about the poll, everyone. We did have the roofs on this morning as it was raining slightly as we started. Enough of a cat nap, it's time for some action. Now she's listening. The wind is very slight coming from in front of her. It's gusty and then it's quiet, gusty and then quiet. So can you see the tops of the grass where the inflorescence are? It's got that brownish sort of coloration. And when all of the vegetation is like that, it's amazing how she vanishes it there. The green basically just blots her out, really. But they are woodland specialists. Their camouflage is not just grasses. Lion camouflages grass. That's their general sort of, you would say, their general primary sort of vegetation unit, although we do find lions all over the savannah. Their tawny coloration is designed to blend them into the grass, whereas leopards are more of a woodland specialist, so that black, the gold, it's like looking through a tree. You get the different shades of light looking through a bush, where the light falls and where the branch falls, so you get the different colorations of dark and light. So that's what gives them their camouflage. Bearing in mind the spotted cats are generally an evolutionary adaptation from forest-dwelling predators, evident still in the spots of lion cubs for protecting them or hiding them when they're quite young. And as they get older, they lose those spots. And the evolutionary advantage of being a tawny cat in open grassland has clearly been more advantageous for lions than more heavily spotted like the leopard. Okay, well, we're going to follow her. She doesn't seem to be on any sort of hunting mission at the moment. She's just going to be heading back towards cheetah cut line. And we can compare now the movement and the spots of our leopard to the tawny coloration of Rule's well-settled lions.
I must say I do agree. These cats actually blend in very well with their surrounding environment. And you can see here this young male with his head sticking out the mane there. But look at these lionesses. You can see there is 2 lionesses right there. And the other one, you can hardly see the head of her in the tall grass there. And I think this would answer a lot of people's question, where people would say lionesses do all the hunting and males don't. But ideally, if you look at this situation with the male and the females both sitting in the same place, you can imagine how easier it is to see the male in that grass than it is to see the female. Because if you look, the male's head and shoulders are much bigger than the female's. And with the mane on top of that, having a different dark color, it doesn't blend in as much as the females. So in a sense, the males will hang back if it is a prey that the females on their own can bring down. Because if they join the hunt and the prey sees that mane or that big head of the male, the whole pride gets to lose the hunt. But if it is a big prey that they might need the weight of the male or the help there, then the males will join the hunt. But in most cases, because the male's bodies are too big, they just sometimes hang back and let the females do the job, because they know that the females can do it. In some cases, when the males are off patrolling, scent marking, sometimes they are away from the females for a number of days, close to a week. And at that time, they do need to hunt and eat. So they are capable of doing it themselves. In fact, we have seen 2 males, where each one male had a buffalo carcass about, say, 100 meters away from the other one. So it shows that these guys can hunt and are capable of hunting, but sometimes not to spoil the hunt for the rest of the pride is the best option. But also, they know that they get first rights when it comes to the feeding. And I can see in the distance that one lion is coming back this side. I wonder what happened maybe with the swell of the wind. It picked up a scent of something and they just decided to get out of the way. But you could see it's only those young ones that ran off, and the older lionesses and that young male actually stood their ground just to look around and see, was it really a potential threat, or was it something that they didn't need to worry about? And with them settling down like that, I guess it wasn't really anything to worry about. Alright, I think we'll stay with these animals for now. So stay tuned, and I'm gonna send you guys to Trishana, who's got something that's incredibly slow for you guys.
And quite smelly, but I must say that this one is not that slow at all. It's a terrapin. It looks to be a serrated hinge terrapin. You see the serration at the back there. And these terrapins prefer kind of permanent water sources as opposed to the marsh terrapin, which is the other one we get in this area. The marsh terrapin you can frequently find in impermanent water sources. But these ones, they like to be in permanent water sources. And we're right next to twin dams, so that's probably what it was making its way to. Now it's decided to turn around. They remind me of babies and nappies, tortoises and terrapins, and they extend their legs, but they have this kind of thing covering their bottom almost. It looks like a nappy. Well, off it's gone. Let's just reverse a little bit so we can have a quick look at twin dams. There we go. Actually, I'll just park a little bit forward. So we're in this area because a leopard was spotted in Little Gowrie, which is just south of here. So very likely it's Sibui. So I thought we'd just hang around in this area because she is known to walk in from that baboon pan area to twin dams. The wind is picking up. It's quite cold today, I must say. And if there's nothing else at the dam, then at least there's the blacksmith lapwing. Always show ready, the blacksmith lapwing. And you can see with the grass how windy it is.
Stations are crossing into Torture.
Beautiful long legs. And a very reliable bird. It's calling. Reliable in the sense that you'll almost always find them when you're out and drive. And off it's gone too. I was just listening out there, hoping to hear something like a nice call or alarm call. Let's just get up onto the dam wall, because that way we'll be able to see. Oh, let's look at our caterpillar quickly. We'll go onto the dam wall in a bit, because that way we'll be able to see over at Baboon Pan. Oh, I love them so much. They're so cool. It is a caterpillar, or maybe you call them an inchworm because they inch along. Inch, 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 inch. And even though it looks like it may have many legs, it's only got 6 true legs. The others are called pseudopoda, false legs.
that assists it while it's moving in this form as a caterpillar. But in fact, it is an insect, and the thing that classifies, or one of the things that classify an insect, are 6 legs. So 6 true legs. Maybe it'll give us the opportunity to see them. The 6 true legs will be right in front. The ones at the back are all false. Nope, it's decided it's just going to hide. All right, let's pop up onto the dam wall.
On the 27th of April, WildEarth will be turning 14 years old, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. And to celebrate, we will be finishing the beautiful book that we started last year that looks at the history so far. But we do need you to be part of it. Please submit your most memorable sighting, or what WildEarth means to you, or even just your name and a comment to be included inside the book. Head over to the website to add your name and reserve your copy. We are offering a 20% discount on all books bought before the end of March. And a big thank you to all of you who have contributed to the book so far.
WildEarth explorer Jenny recently joined Tristan as he broadcast live from Djuma.
Awesome to kind of have a guest on board. I'm looking forward to this. This is Jenny.
Hi everyone.
And Jenny is the first of our Ticket to Dream holders.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
Literally being with Tristan on the vehicle today has been incredible. It has truly been a dream come true.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
I would highly recommend being a part of the Explorer program and being able to be a part of an interactive live drive.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Hello everybody, welcome back. She's on the move. We're just going to try to keep up with her, giving her as much space as possible. There's a termite mound over there she might head towards. She is a very stealthy cat. She's moving with the wind directly east. She's on the mound, which is something you always can anticipate. If you see a termite mound and you lose your leopard, move towards the termite mound. You happy? Move towards the termite mound and you've got a very good chance that she will go onto it.
Steve, can you go?
Hold on everybody. Go ahead, Jos. Jos, go ahead. Such a beautiful girl. Yes, I'm standing by.
Is there any buffalo vehicles on Torchwood?
Yeah, yours come east from there. I think you probably see my tracks. And I'm going to have to go back in the history books to answer the question for you there. I know of Tlalamba, or let's go Maribs, Tlalamba, Tamba, Kuchava. I only know the 4 personally, and I'm sure there's more. She's been around for a while. Female leopard, should I say, start breeding at about 3.5, 4 years of age, and she must be 14, 15 now. So is that all of them? Please, who else knows the others? I haven't been introduced to her other offspring before, but I'm certain there's at least 1, maybe 2 more in there. Send 2 answers to #WildEarth. Drop me a private message if need be. Joined by another vehicle, as you can probably hear. Tandy getting the most elevation she possibly can. Hello Rohan, age 14. You want to know what my favourite leopard is? Well, Tandy is definitely up there, but I've had a soft spot for Shadulu for some time. Shadulu has always just been such a cool leopard that I've found quite a few times on foot before. Okay, well, before we lose her, I'm trying to give her as much space as possible. Amazing how they can just disappear. Just like that, she's gone. Well, those of you who've never been introduced to the Tandy slip before, she's very good at giving us the slip, which is okay. It's what leopards do best. Okay, well, it doesn't sound like Rules Lions have given him the slip, so let's send you back over to him.
You can see there that something's got this lioness's attention, and she just lifted up her head, and as well as that young male there. I wonder what they could be looking at. The rest of the pride is scattered amongst this tall grass, and with their size being relatively small, it's quite difficult to see but the tips of their ears and their heads. And I think this lioness and that young male are moving in the direction of those sub-adult lions. You can see when he walks, he's limping. That was an injury from a fight. Yes, and I believe you asking if is it hard for white lions to hunt due to their color. I think it would be difficult for them to hunt, especially on their own, as that white will always stick out or stand out. but be it in a pride or in a coalition of males, that could actually work in the lion's advantage. You know, when they want to ambush some prey, to use that white one as a diversion or a distraction, and allow the rest of the pride to get into positions. So having that color can be both a pro and a con at the same time. But if he was on his own, then he would have to really be lucky, because his color sticks out. But in tall grass, where he can easily disappear into the grass or behind a thick bush, I think he would also do well. You can see they're still moving down towards the rest of the pride. I'm quite interested to see where they're gonna go, what's gonna happen from here on. And interestingly enough, you can see that young male been moving behind that female for the entire time that we've been here. But he is not the dominant male, and if she is in heat, it would be interesting to see if he's gonna mate, which is quite rare to see that this young male comes from this pride. And I see most of them there have also got their heads up, and it looks like they are on the move. So we might follow them and see where they head to. We're driving in a very thick place here, a lot of tall grass. We might lose them. All right, so we're gonna try and stick with them, see if we'll follow them to where they're heading. And I did hear some impalas earlier on in that direction that they're heading in, alarming. And I think it's when those sub-adults got up and ran. So maybe an impala would have seen these animals on that side. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna stick with them, follow for now, and see what the outcome will be. All right, I think I'm gonna struggle to maneuver my way down here to keep up. So I'm gonna send you guys over to Josh, and he'll give you guys an update while we try and stay with these lines.
Well, folks, at least Rule found some lions. Myself and BK have not been so lucky. We tracked them into the mountains where, unfortunately, we have no service and the vehicle just can't go. So we did not win that battle. So currently the score is 2 to the Lions, 0 to Josh and BK, unfortunately. So we're grateful Rule found you some. Unfortunately, our morning's goal was not accomplished. And we also had to run out of the east due to the weather. I'd love to say we retreated in good form, but once it started raining, we ran very quickly. So you find us here in the southwest, having a bumble around, maybe licking our wounds slightly. And we're in luck, we found some hartebeest and them wildebeest as well. One or two things going on here. See if BK can't frame up on this small herd of hartebeest. Seems like a hartebeest morning. As I said earlier when we sat with that first individual, we don't have a huge amount of them in the west because of our two cheetah boys who are very partial to them. I've got one individual staring at us, so definitely at least 3 here, but might potentially be more. Very curious. So these guys are probably about 120, 130 meters away from us and giving us quite a lot of attention. So definitely not the most comfortable around the vehicle. And not very interested in spending time with us either. But as long as we don't go much closer, they'll hopefully stick around. Nah, they're just not interested in us. Game of hide and go seek. Why is the one's backside much lighter than the rest, Wendy? I'm not sure. I'd say that's just an individual characteristic more than anything else. They've all got fairly light backsides in general, Wendy. But obviously, like us, every individual will have small, unique characteristics. And in this case, the genetics for this individual might just lean towards a much lighter backside. Yeah, they're not too interested in us, that's for sure. You got one hiding behind a tree, two hiding behind a tree, and a third one to the left hiding behind a bush, but still giving us the eye. Unfortunately, not the best visual, but they are there. What's landed on that one's back? A little bird. Don't know if BK might be able to punch in a little bit closer. So we don't get oxpeckers on Tswalu. They've been recorded before, obviously, but not a common one. I'd love to have known what bird decided to use that hartebeest as a rest post. There's something different for the morning. I haven't seen that before. But I guess that's the beauty of nature. There's always something new. You can always learn something. So folks, we're going to carry on bumbling a little bit more south and see what else we can find to share with you. We're going to send you across to Steve.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, she's definitely on a little bit of a mission. Slowly forward, slowly back, using the wind and the cover to her advantage. This kind of behavior is one she uses for catching duiker and steenbok. Apologies for the pole. Going to have to turn around. Another little termite mound over there she might go to. And hopefully preempt it. Mandy, 14, 15 is a good age for a leopard. Male's normally a little bit less. I think I've heard records of a 17-year-old or 18-year-old leopard before. That's pretty old, though, for leopards. Obviously, in captivity, they can live much older. The competitive edge out here, have to hold territory, the dangers that come with hunting, the dangers that come with other predators, hyena, lion, other leopard. Okay, there you are. I use the termite mounds for getting a little bit of height above this long grass. Such important strategies we see employed by leopard, lion and cheetah. When you're short as they are, in the long grass, which is your cover, it's also the cover of the prey animals you're trying to find. We are joined in the sighting. If you hear a camera snapping away. The queen on her throne. Okay, well, we're going to stay with Tandy a little while longer. Send you over to Josh, who's found some large birds.
They're feeding. Well, folks, it's definitely been a big cat morning for you. Lions, Steve's got a leopard sitting on a termite mound. I'd love to say I'm not jealous, but I definitely am. So what we found here is something slightly different. We've got 2 male ostriches and 1 female here in the frame. And then to the left, who's just gone behind the bush, unfortunately, is a 3rd male. So we were just quite surprised to see the ratio, especially since they're not fighting or dancing with each other. But they do seem to be having quite a bit of movement. So we're actually not quite sure what's going on here. Now, having a look at the male's legs, I don't see that very pink sheen in the front, which would tell us that they're in heat and going to be trying to compete with each other for this lady's attentions. So I do wonder what's going on. Two males very distinctly a much darker black, with your female being a little bit of a mottled grey. We've got one very bemused wildebeest just staring at us as well. So there go these two. So Lee, what would prey on ostriches? Dependent where they are in terms of size. So the youngsters get preyed on by everything from jackal to large birds of prey. So everything from a pale chanting goshawk up to potentially a marshal. But as they get older and a little bit bigger, they become a very popular meal for lion, for cheetah. I've never seen a leopard feed on them, but I would be very comfortable in saying there's a good chance that they would try. Obviously, an ostrich is also a dangerous prey item because they have an incredibly powerful kick and a very nasty, sharp front toenail, which will do some serious damage. But primarily I've seen of your bigger predators, I've seen cheetah feed on them quite a lot. Obviously the trick being just to get the mouth around the top of that neck as close to the head and bring the bird down to where it's no longer balanced or comfortable. But yeah, when they're tiny, they look like little chickens. They're vulnerable to a lot of predators. Radio going off there. Let's see if we can't get another visual. There we go. See if PK can get us another look there. There was once a myth in regards to ostriches always swallowing shiny things. Now, they do swallow rocks to help with their digestion, but there was a period in history where during the diamond rush, ostriches, if seen, would have been killed, not necessarily just for the feathers and the leather, and the meat, which would have kept people alive, but to check their stomach contents for raw diamonds. Now, if you know anything about an uncut diamond, it's a rather greasy looking rock. It doesn't have any of the sparkle of that lovely engagement ring that has to be cut and polished to that. There was a belief that they would swallow anything shiny. And I do know more than one person that might have lost a watch or something at an ostrich farm. So we're going to see what else we can find. We're going to send you across for another big cat update with Rule.
You can see they had settled down for quite some time in these very thick bushes. And we just thought maybe we would have another glimpse of that white one there. She seems to be a little bit restless, moving from one line to the next. It's amazing, earlier on we were talking about how difficult it would be for her to hunt on her own with her color. If you look at her, I think she would also do pretty well. And if you look there, the young male also came up to join with the rest of these pride members, and looks like he's laying down there. Now you can see how thick it is. We've had plenty of rain and there is plenty of water. Kelly, you're asking if it would be easy for the white lions to find a mate. I tell you what, I think that'll be the easiest thing to do. For the female especially, I don't think it's going to be as easy for the male, or would be as easy for the male. Because remember, the males, they stand a very less chance of surviving. Right now, he is with the pride, and he and his brothers will get kicked out of the pride in the next couple of months. And then life will get tough for him and his brothers. And if he and his brothers make it and they survive and they get into their primes, or at least they'll be somewhere around 6 towards 7 years of age, and they're strong enough, because it is 3 of them, that is quite a large coalition and it's going to have a lot of strength. So to find a mate, they will have to fight to get a mate. Should they win the fight against those rivals or whatever males, depending on where they are, and then in that manner, that white one would have found a mate. And with the female, she's going to be with this pride in particular. And when new males move in and kick out those dominant males now, then that white female will also in that way have found a mate. So you see, it's one of the reasons why, for me, it was more exciting when the second one was born, because I knew back then that that young male, it's nice to have a white lion in the reserve, and him being a male, he was going to be kicked out of the pride, and he was going to move off to wherever life takes him. But when that female was born, for me, it was actually the best news, because she's now going to stay with the pride, if she survives, for quite some time, which means we're not worried about having a white lion for 3 years or so in our property. Whereas if this female survives, she could easily live close to 15 years of age, which means for the next while, we might have a white lion in the property. It would be nice to actually see how long she's going to survive. Yeah, so I think we're going to spend a few more minutes here with them, see what they get up to. It's warming up, and I think these lions will now start to settle down for the rest of the afternoon. I can already see one of them yawning over there. Signs of them, they might have been moving throughout the entire night, so they'll need to settle in. And it's quite thick, shaded with a bit of cloud cover. And then I think they'll stay here for the whole afternoon.
For all of you WildEarth explorers who bought plaques, today is the day that you will make your very first safari on our vehicle. Because we are quite remote here in the bush, they have taken some time to arrive, but I am happy to say they are here and they look great. Marcel has spent the day attaching them. Let's take a look.
Before we mount these nameplates, we just give a light dusting of green paint. This is to better match them to the color of the vehicles and also to decrease the reflectivity of the metal and thereby staying sensitive towards the animals.
Bumbo crew, hopefully, Dan Black, Liesel Apgar and Alicia George. Well, it's time for me to get ready to take you all on a safari. Let's go.
Our lives are dictated by alarm clocks, traffic jams, constant multitasking, and countless distractions. The wilderness is where many of us feel the most human. On a bushwalk, we become part of the natural landscape. As you step off the vehicle, everything comes alive. As with any risky experience, walking amongst these animals inspires awe and appreciation. Now, it's your turn to go on a bushwalk. Join us from Pride Lands as we slow down our thoughts, put aside our distractions, and reconnect with a place that first taught us how to be human.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
It is always a pleasure or a treat to actually get to see these white lions here, or to see these lions in general, because, you know, a lot happens during one night in their life. When we are off sleeping, these animals are on the move, constantly avoiding all the dangers and threats. And I'm impressed that these Pride has managed to keep these cubs safe for the past 2 years, 2.5 years, which is great. It means that they've done well. And I am glad that we actually eventually got to see them after not seeing them for quite some time. You can see there she's got her head up. You can see the other one stretching there as well, also showing signs that they might want to rest. So I believe that they'll be resting somewhere around here. Of course, they could move due to unforeseen circumstances if anything comes in or anything pushes them off. But otherwise, if nothing like that happens, they'll only move if the sun comes out and it starts warming up to try and get shade. But today we do have a very cool breeze, so they will be in this place for quite some time. I really think having to see them after so long is actually very, very nice, and it is a blessing. Because out here, you really take it one day at a time. All right, I say everybody, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We hope that you guys had a very wonderful show, and we are still hoping to see you guys again in the afternoon and try and see if we'll be as lucky as we were this morning. It has been a wonderful morning, and it has been a blessing to actually get to see these white lions after a very long time. So remember to just come back again this afternoon. Tune in, watch. We will take you guys across the African wild, see what the safari has to offer you guys.